Friends, today we bring you a shocking and mysterious story that will leave you speechless. This is a tale of how a powerful and wealthy Arab man forced a helpless woman into a dark and abusive relationship filled with coercion, physical exploitation, and imprisonment. How he trapped the woman against her will, and what happened when her husband finally discovered the horrifying truth. This story is full of betrayal, revenge, love, and suspense that will keep you on the edge of your seat until the very end. So watch the video till the end. If you like the story, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our amazing future stories. Let's begin. It was a regular hot afternoon in Saudi Arabia when I received a text message from my employer asking me to fix a broken air conditioner in a prestigious neighborhood. I quickly wrote down the address and headed there. As an AC technician, my job involved visiting homes, fixing units, and receiving payments directly into my employer's account. Sometimes, clients gave me tips which I gladly accepted. Upon reaching the address, I rang the bell. A young boy answered the door. Judging by his appearance and his fluent Urdu, I assumed he was Pakistani. Politely, he asked, "How can I help you?" "I'm here to fix your air conditioner," I replied, and asked him to call his father. He disappeared inside, and moments later, an Arab man appeared. I was slightly surprised. I had expected a Pakistani family, given the boy's fluency in Urdu, but I quickly assumed the boy's mother must be Pakistani and married to this Arab gentleman. He led me into the house, into the living room where the faulty air conditioner was. I got to work and, within an hour, cool air was once again flowing. As I packed my tools, ready to leave, the Arab man warmly insisted, "Wait, brother. Have some tea before you go." Grateful for his kindness, I agreed. Just then, as I wiped the sweat from my forehead with a handkerchief, a woman entered the room carrying a tray of tea. When I looked up and saw her face, shock and disbelief shot through me like lightning. I staggered slightly. It was Miriam, my wife, the woman I had believed to be dead for years. My mind spun with confusion. How could she be alive? Overwhelmed with emotion, I lost control and stepped toward her. "Miriam, how are you here? What happened?" I asked desperately. The Arab man quickly stepped between us, his voice rising sharply. "Who are you, and why are you speaking to my wife?" I stared in disbelief. He called her Zarina, but I knew this was Miriam. My Miriam. How could she be his wife? Fury rose inside me. This woman is my wife. How dare you marry another man's wife? In a rage, he grabbed my collar and warned, "Be careful with your accusations. She is my wife and mine alone." Miriam, visibly shaken and terrified, quickly left the room. The man roughly shoved me toward the door and threw me out. Disoriented, heartbroken, and confused, I wandered the street, tears clouding my eyes. Memories flooded my mind. The night Miriam came into my life, the struggles we endured together, the moment I thought I lost her forever. How could this happen? How could Miriam be alive, living under a different name as someone else's wife? As I walked away from that house, my legs gave way, and my heart pounded. Miriam, the woman I had loved and mourned for years, was alive, living as Zarina, married to another man. My mind was full of questions, doubts, and agonizing confusion. The streets blurred around me as I collapsed onto a bench, burying my face in my hands. My thoughts returned to our happy days in Pakistan. Miriam and I came from humble families. I was a simple AC technician. Miriam was the daughter of a poor man, incredibly beautiful yet modest and kind. When my mother initially arranged our marriage, I hadn't even seen Miriam. All I knew was that she came from a family too poor to offer a dowry. Despite her initial resistance, my mother agreed, for Miriam's beauty was known throughout our neighborhood. On our wedding night, when I lifted her veil, my heart skipped a beat. She was even more beautiful than anyone had described. Her radiant smile and innocent eyes captured me instantly. From that moment, my love only grew stronger. But happiness, I would soon learn, was not easy to hold on to. My mother, a woman of strict traditional values, disliked seeing Miriam and me happy. Each evening, when I returned home eager to spend time with Miriam, my mother would occupy me. She complained that after marriage I had forgotten my aging parents. My father was ill, and I spent many nights massaging his aching legs, while my mother's complaints filled the air. Miriam silently endured it all. Her smile gradually faded. Sometimes when I finally reached our bedroom, she would already be asleep, her face clouded with sadness, but she never complained. She bore it all silently, trying to shield me from the pain she carried alone. One day, my employer in Pakistan praised my work and offered me a job in Saudi Arabia, with double my current salary. Excited, I immediately accepted. Miriam, however, was devastated. "Junaid, please don't leave me here alone. Take me with you. Your mother won't let me live in peace," she cried. But I couldn't afford to take her right away. I had borrowed heavily just to pay for my own trip. "Miriam, please understand," I pleaded. "Let me settle down first. I promise I'll bring you as soon as I can." Reluctantly, she agreed, though her heart was broken. When I finally left, her sobs echoed in my ears. Once in Saudi Arabia, I quickly became absorbed in work, desperate to save enough money to reunite with her. Each night, alone in my small room, I stared at her photograph, yearning for her presence. Then, just a month after I arrived, Miriam called me, sobbing uncontrollably. "Junaid, your mother is making my life unbearable. She barely feeds me, forces me to stay up late massaging her legs. If you don't save me now, I swear I'll poison myself and end this misery." My heart shattered at her pain. Helpless, I begged her not to do anything drastic. "Please don't. I'll arrange for you to return to your parents' home. I'll even send you some money to live on. Just wait a little longer. We'll be together soon," I promised. Reluctantly, she agreed. I arranged for Miriam to stay at her parents' house and sent her money regularly in secret. Despite the distance, our bond remained strong. Secret nightly phone calls brought us brief moments of comfort. Miriam constantly told me of my mother's harsh behavior, but I was powerless to stop it from abroad. Again and again, I promised her we'd soon be together. One day, my Saudi employer noticed I was upset. When I told him about my situation, he sympathized deeply. "Why don't you bring your wife here, Junaid? I'll lend you the money. You can pay me back from your salary," he offered kindly. My heart leapt with joy. Finally, Miriam could come to me. He even helped with visas, tickets, and arranged a small apartment for us. With joy, I immediately informed Miriam. She cried with happiness, promising me that her suffering would soon be over. My father agreed to accompany Miriam to the airport. Everything seemed perfectly arranged. Finally, after long months of separation, I waited impatiently at the Saudi airport to welcome my beloved wife. But when the plane landed, Miriam never came out. A feeling of dread overcame me. I frantically questioned airport staff, only to find out that Miriam had mysteriously left the plane during a layover in Dubai. Shocked and terrified, I traveled to Dubai, desperately trying to find her. Eventually, I was told that Miriam had supposedly died in a horrific car accident shortly after leaving the airport. My heart shattered into countless pieces. I identified the severely burned body, barely recognizable, and convinced it was Miriam, I mourned deeply, losing all hope. Devastated, I returned to Saudi Arabia, burying my grief in work. Now, years later, the impossible happened. Miriam was alive but married to an Arab man, living a new life under a different name. Sitting on that bench, I cried uncontrollably. My memories, my loss, and Miriam's unexplainable presence tormented me endlessly. Suddenly, another troubling thought hit me. How did she end up here? Who was behind all this? My employer, who always seemed so supportive, suddenly appeared suspicious. Could he have played a role in this sinister situation? Determined to uncover the truth, I gathered all my courage. I had already lost Miriam once. I would not lose her again. I decided to speak to my employer, unaware of the dark secrets that would soon be revealed. Unable to bear the torment any longer, I went to confront him, even if it meant risking everything I had built over the years. With trembling hands, I entered his office, trying my best to keep my voice steady. "Sir," I began cautiously, "there's something very disturbing I need to discuss with you. Remember the woman I told you about yesterday? The one I recognized as my wife?" His expression immediately changed. A shadow of discomfort passed over his face, as if my words had suddenly sparked fear in him. "You must be mistaken, Junaid," he interrupted quickly, trying in vain to hide his anxiety. "How could your wife be alive? Didn't you yourself confirm her death?" "No, sir," I said firmly. "There's no mistake. The woman that Arab man calls Zaina is Maryam, my Maryam. And today I saw you coming out of his house. You know him, don't you?" He noticeably paled. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He hesitated, clearly searching for words. "Listen, Junaid, it just seems that way. Stay away from this matter. It's dangerous," he finally muttered, glancing around nervously as if afraid someone might overhear us. His nervousness only strengthened my suspicions. He knew far more than he admitted. Realizing I wouldn't back down, he finally sighed deeply and lowered his voice. "Come in and sit down," he said reluctantly, motioning me into a private room. There, behind closed doors, he revealed a horrible truth that shattered my world again. "Yes, Junaid, you're right. Maryam is alive, but her disappearance was no accident." His voice trembled with guilt. "When my business partner, that Arab man, saw her photo, he became obsessed with her beauty. He offered me a large sum of money to arrange her abduction. At the time, I was drowning in debt, desperate, blinded by greed. May God forgive me. I agreed to this crime. My heart froze in shock, horror, and pain. The man I trusted, admired, respected, had betrayed me in the most horrific way. How could you?" I cried bitterly. Tears filled my eyes. "Do you have any idea how much suffering you caused?" "I deeply regret it," he whispered, ashamed, unable to meet my gaze. "I never imagined how terrible the consequences would be." After the staged accident in Dubai, she was brought straight here and forced to marry my Arab partner. Since then, she's lived as his prisoner, helpless and hopeless. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't dare stand against him, fearing for my own safety. Overwhelmed with rage, grief, and helplessness, I struggled to contain myself. "You must help me free her," I demanded urgently. "It's the only way to atone for your sin." After a painful silence, he slowly nodded, realizing the weight of his betrayal. "Yes, I owe you both that. I'll help you save Maryam. But know this, we're risking our lives. The man who bought her is powerful and ruthless. He won't let her go easily." With his reluctant cooperation, I contacted the local authorities and shared all the horrifying details of Maryam's ordeal. At first, the police were skeptical, but they finally agreed to act after seeing the evidence my employer provided. That same night, we quietly approached the Arab man's house, accompanied by a police unit. My heart pounded as we waited in the shadows for the police to knock and finally enter the home. Maryam ran into my arms, her tear-streaked face buried in my chest. She hugged me tightly, sobbing uncontrollably. "Junaid, I knew you would come for me," she whispered, trembling with relief and exhaustion. "I never stopped praying for this day." The police quickly arrested the Arab man and my employer. Although it hurt to see my former employer taken away, once my trusted friend, I knew justice had been served. He had to answer for the immense pain he had caused innocent people. Finally reunited, Maryam and I returned home, grateful but forever changed by the tragedy. In her eyes, I saw the scars of a terrible past, but also a glimpse of our future. Holding Maryam and our child in my arms, I vowed never again to let greed, betrayal, or distance tear our family apart. Watching Maryam sleep peacefully beside me, I silently thanked God, promising to cherish and protect her forever. Our love had survived the darkest storms and grown stronger than ever, proving my belief that no matter how cruel fate may test us, true love can overcome any trial life puts in our path. That day, sitting alone on the dusty pavement, The harsh Saudi sun felt less painful than the storm raging inside my heart. The memories I had tried so hard to bury came crashing back with brutal force. 8 years ago, life had felt full of hope. Miriam had entered my life like a blessing I felt I didn't deserve. As a mechanic fixing air conditioners and cars, I earned little. Coming from a modest Pakistani family, my dreams were simple, just a decent life. Miriam, just as poor but extraordinarily beautiful, married me without any dowry. Initially, my mother opposed marrying off her only son to a girl who brought nothing but beauty. But the moment I lifted Miriam's veil on our wedding night, I knew fate had smiled upon me in ways I never imagined. Yet our joy was short-lived. Despite our deep bond, my mother's presence cast a shadow. Her traditional mindset and possessiveness slowly turned our happiness into constant stress. Every time I came home tired from work, longing for peaceful moments with Miriam, my mother always found reasons to keep me, creating petty tasks or endless complaints. At night, exhausted from caring for my sick father, I often found Miriam asleep, her face stained with dried tears. Then life offered me an opportunity one couldn't refuse, a high-paying job in Saudi Arabia. The decision was painful but necessary. Miriam cried, begged, and even pleaded to come with me. I promised to bring her soon, never suspecting that my absence would lead to her greatest suffering. Without me, my mother's cruelty intensified. Miriam often called me in secret, crying, telling me about endless abuse, forced labor, mockery, lack of food, even physical violence. My heart broke every time, but my helplessness overwhelmed me. My income was insufficient. Debts were heavy. Asking my employer for leave to bring Miriam seemed impossible at first. After months of tireless work and saving every rial, I finally approached my compassionate Saudi employer, explaining my desperate situation. Moved by my plight, he generously offered financial help and even provided a small apartment. He even helped arrange a rental and assisted with Miriam's visa and plane ticket. I was overjoyed. Everything seemed to be falling into place. Miriam sounded thrilled on the phone when I told her the good news. I even managed to persuade my reluctant mother, who finally agreed to send Miriam on the scheduled arrival day. My heart pounded with excitement as I arrived early at the airport. My eyes filled with hope as I watched the terminal doors. Passengers came out one by one, but Miriam never appeared. Anxiety crept in as minutes turned into hours. Eventually, panic set in. Airport staff informed me that Miriam never boarded the connecting flight from Dubai to Riyadh. Instead, she mysteriously exited in Dubai. My knees buckled. My mind raced. Why did she exit in Dubai? Did something happen? With the help of my compassionate employer, I immediately flew to Dubai to investigate. There, I was met with horrific news. Miriam had supposedly died in a terrible car accident. Burned items resembling hers were found. When they showed me those charred belongings, my world collapsed. The woman I loved more than life itself was gone. Burned beyond recognition, just another nameless victim in a foreign land. My heart was irreparably broken. Back in Saudi Arabia, grief consumed me, but my employer remained my only pillar of support. He raised my salary, forgave my debts, and offered emotional support. I buried myself in work, suppressing the painful memories deep inside. 8 years passed. 8 years of silent mourning, loneliness, and empty existence. Until today, I saw Miriam alive, married to another man. My heart broke anew as the truth hit me. The tragedy had been staged. But why? Shaken, I returned to my employer's office, desperate for answers. I told him everything, expecting him to share my shock. But as I spoke, his face turned pale, his eyes darted nervously, betraying guilt, not surprise. He tried to dismiss my words, claiming I was mistaken, that it must be someone else. But his trembling voice gave away the truth he tried to hide. My trusted, kind-hearted boss, my friend, knew more than he admitted. Had he betrayed me? Orchestrated Miriam's disappearance? That night I couldn't sleep, tormented by unanswered questions. I resolved to speak with Miriam directly. The next evening, I secretly returned to the villa in Al Rabwa. Hidden near the wall, I waited patiently as darkness cloaked the house. Hours passed until silence fell. Summoning courage, I quietly climbed over the villa wall and crept toward a dimly lit window. Inside, Miriam's soft voice whispered desperately, pleading for freedom. Peering through the crack, my heart shattered. There she was, a completely different Miriam. Frightened, clutching a small boy, the very same boy I had met earlier. A harsh male voice coldly snapped at her, reminding her she had been bought years ago and would remain trapped forever. Miriam wept bitterly, begging for mercy. Her words cut deep into my soul. I have a husband, Junaid. A good, honest man. Please, for God's sake, let me go, she cried. The man laughed cruelly, mocking her pleas and left, ignoring her pain. Seizing the moment, I pushed the window open and quietly slipped inside. Her eyes widened in shock, then filled with instant recognition. She rushed to me, clinging to my shirt, sobbing uncontrollably. Junaid, you finally came to save me. Please, get me out of this nightmare, she cried, trembling violently. Overflowing with emotion, I whispered, Miriam, how? Why didn't you come? What happened that day? Through her tears, Miriam revealed the horrifying truth. She had never voluntarily exited in Dubai. Upon landing in Riyadh, a stranger approached her claiming to be my friend, saying I had sent him. Trusting him, she got into his car, unaware of his sinister intentions. She woke up in captivity. At first, she was abused by that man. Then, she was sold to a wealthy Arab as a captive bride. For years, she endured unspeakable suffering, with no way to escape or contact me. Her nightmare worsened when she realized she was pregnant, with my child. A secret she had longed to share joyfully had turned into a tragedy. Through her tears, she admitted the boy was indeed mine. Rage and sorrow coursed through my veins. The employer I had respected like family had orchestrated her abduction, faked her death, and all the while consoled my shattered heart. This vile betrayal cut deeper than any wound. Silently vowing, my mind raced with determination to free Miriam, no matter the cost. Despite the danger, despite the price, she was my wife, my love, the mother of my child. Her suffering would end here. Justice had to be served. Holding Miriam tightly, I fiercely promised, I'm here. You're no longer alone. Whatever happens, I will never leave you again. That night marked the beginning of our fight for freedom. A battle we couldn't afford to lose. Darkness thickened outside, but inside me blazed a fierce determination. Wiping Miriam's tears, I whispered, It's time, Miriam. We have to end this nightmare now. She squeezed my hand tightly, her voice trembling but firm. Junaid, please, be careful. These people are dangerous. I've suffered enough, but I couldn't bear to lose you too. Looking at the innocent face of our sleeping son in her arms, my resolve strengthened. No matter what, it was my duty to protect them. At any cost. I quietly slipped back out through the window, promising Miriam I would return soon with help. Dawn had just begun to break when I arrived at the local police station. Exhausted but full of determination. I detailed everything. The kidnapping, the betrayal by my employer, Miriam's imprisonment, and the forced marriage. The initial officers were skeptical, but my sincerity, supported by Miriam's authentic documents, convinced them to act. Within hours, authorities conducted a raid on the luxurious villa. Accompanied by officers, I rushed inside, my heart pounding as I desperately prayed for the safety of Miriam and our son. The Arab man stood defiantly by the door, his face a mix of shock and fury as officers restrained him. My employer also arrived, panic clearly visible on his face. He pleaded innocence, claiming it was all a misunderstanding, but his lies quickly crumbled under interrogation. Inside the room, Miriam saw me and rushed forward, our child held tightly in her arms. Tears of relief streamed down her face as I embraced them both, shielding them. In that moment, our family was finally reunited. After a decade of torment, betrayal, and heartbreak. As the police took official statements, the horrifying truth fully came to light. Blinded by greed and lust, my employer had arranged Mariam's abduction after seeing her photograph. The fake story of her death in Dubai was his strategy to ensure no one would search for her, enabling him to sell her to a wealthy Arab as a hidden captive bride. For 7 years, Mariam endured unspeakable suffering, forced confinement, separation from her true husband, and constant threats to our son's safety. These revelations shattered me. The man I had trusted unconditionally, the one who pretended to be my friend and benefactor, had betrayed me in the most monstrous way. Yet, despite the torment, justice finally prevailed. Both conspirators were immediately imprisoned on charges of kidnapping, human trafficking, and abuse. A few days later, as the sun gently set over Riyadh, Mariam and I stood together in the airport terminal, tightly holding our son's hand. After years of despair, we were finally returning home to Pakistan, forever leaving behind the painful memories. As the plane lifted off, Mariam gently rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, "I never lost hope, Junaid. I always believed you'd find me one day." Holding her close, I softly replied, "And I will spend every remaining moment proving your faith was never in vain." Years later, living peacefully in our humble but happy home, Mariam and I often shared our story, not as a tale of sorrow, but as a testimony of strength, hope, and resilience. Through everything we endured, we discovered that love, courage, and unshakable faith can overcome even the darkest betrayals. And on quiet nights, as I watch Mariam finally smile peacefully, I know that our love not only survived, but became stronger through the storm we faced together. So friends, that was today's story of how a powerful Arab man turned a woman's life into a nightmare, and how her husband, driven by love and bravery, saved her. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more gripping and shocking stories. Take care and stay safe.